This is Gotham TV Podcast, episode 50, The Drew Powell Interview.
Hey, this is Drew Powell. I play Butch Gilzine on Gotham, and you are listening to Gotham TV Podcast.
Welcome back, Gothamites. This is episode 50 of our podcast, Gotham TV Podcast, the podcast dedicated to the TV show Gotham. I'm one of your hosts, Derek.
Hello, I'm one of your other hosts, John.
And in this episode, we'll be talking to Gotham actor Drew Powell, who plays Butch Gilzine. Played him throughout season 1 of Gotham and has now been confirmed as a season regular for season 2. I was lucky enough to get the chance to interview him. Unfortunately, John couldn't join us for this one.
No, I was there in spirit, though, and managed to, by virtue of divination or something like that, managed to get a question about American football and the Baltimore Ravens through yourself to Drew Powell, who is obviously a Indianapolis Colts fan.
That's right.
That was pretty cool, I have to say.
Definitely. If you're joining us for the first time, make sure you subscribe to the podcast at gothamtvpodcast.com/iTunes. And if you want to send us feedback, you can email us at feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com. Provide us feedback about any of your previous episodes, this current podcast, or obviously any of your thoughts about season 2.
Yeah, theories and thoughts on season 2 would be fantastic. And of course, along with iTunes, you can find us on and listen to us on Android, any of the good podcast catchers such as Beyond Pod, Podcast Addicts, Player FM, or Stitcher. Just search Gotham TV Podcast and subscribe, and we will pop up each week as we do our podcast on Gotham, which will be again, unfortunately, behind the US, because in Ireland and the UK it won't be being shown till after the 21st. One of the other things that is new, which you may have noticed if you're a regular listener, is we have a new intro music.
That's right.
And this is provided to us by Mississippi McDonald, and you can find out all about him at MississippiMcDonald.com. And of course, remember that's ISSIPPI Mississippi.
Very good.
Mudslide.
Yeah, really good new theme. I'm really enjoying it. That's going to be our theme tune for season 2 of the show.
Yeah, it's a nice punky anarchy kind of thing that is to tie in with the rise of the villains. And of course, we will show you a little bit more from Mississippi McDonald at the end of the podcast, where we will have one of his other tracks, Devil's Chain.
That's right. And without further ado, the piece you've been waiting for, our interview with Drew Powell of Gotham. Okay, welcome back to Gotham TV Podcast. This is our 50th episode, and we have a very special guest in this episode. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hey, everybody, it's Drew Powell. I play Butch Gilzine on Gotham. Happy to be here.
I'm delighted to have you on board, and we have had a little bit of a snafu on our recording, so it's really good to have you on board, and thanks very much for joining us this time. Great to talk to you.
Pleasure.
I want to kind of kick off with a big question that I'm sure is on a lot of people's minds, and the big news coming out of season 1. You got confirmed as a season regular for season 2 of Gotham after your sterling work on the first season. How's that feel?
It feels good. It's a nice vote of confidence for the character and the work that we did, and it's nice to be part of the team. I kind of felt like a series regular anyway. I think I did 14 or 15 of the first round, first season, but it is a little different. It's nice to get a little bit of extra recognition, and all the perks that come with it, like the Bentley and the gold-plated trailer that they put me in, and the caviar that they served me at lunch. All that.
Oh,
stuff.
Of course. I'm sure the TV budget affords that, and well deserved too.
Yes, indeed.
And you get your name in the opening credits as well, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll get that right front and center.
One of the big things, obviously, for season 2 is that obviously we're moving into a series where we have 22 episodes this time. When we started out covering the show in 2014, in February 2014, just had a pilot at the time with 16 episodes ordered, and then moved to 18 and then 22. What's the difference in approach as an actor for season 2 of the show with 22 episodes?
Well, I think it's better for all involved when you kind of know what the end game is. I mean, last year, like you said, started with 16, and we did 18, we did 22, and those writers really had to scramble to kind of, in a very short space of time, to come up with the extra content. And they did that well. But now I think, what's great about season 2, and I was just talking with Ben McKenzie yesterday, or 2 days ago, I guess we were working together. We were both agreeing that we're on episode 7 now, and that every script we've gotten has just been better than the last. It's really been full on pedal to the metal. It's all serialized. They've gotten rid of the body of the week, crime of the week kind of scenario, which I think really, getting rid of that and sticking with the serialized aspect lends itself not only to the genre and to, the comic book world, but also to the way that this show worked best last season.
So one of the big things that we talked about on our podcast as we reviewed each episode of the show was the kind of pivotal role that Butch plays during the season for many of the characters in Gotham. Obviously, his attack on Barbara Keane in her home led her down the path and into the arms of the Ogre, and obviously has now led her into Arkham Asylum. Can you talk about playing that kind of darker side of Butch and obviously dealing with Aaron Richards in what looked like a pretty scary scene?
Yeah, after I got the role, but before we shot the pilot, I spent a lot of time watching, particularly the early episodes of The Sopranos. It was a show I loved when it came out the first time around. One of the things that I was looking for was kind of watching how James Gandolfini created this character, Tony Soprano, who was at once, likable somehow and really scary and dark at the same time, because I felt like that really is kind of what Butch was all about. Bruno told me early on that the thing about Butch is people underestimate him until it's too late. And so that was kind of the thing that I held on to. And so I was able to play some scenes that were more lighthearted and more goofy. And then at the same time, play a scene like that one with Aaron where, he's an intimidating guy. And so I've really enjoyed that challenge to kind of try and make that work, and it's that scene was a kind of the beginning of that. The first kind of scene that I was able to see over the course of the first few episodes that I could really sink my teeth into and get a little bit more of a glimpse that, okay, maybe this guy's more than just a henchman for Fish, that maybe there's more coming.
Yeah, absolutely. You can really see the kind of wry smile, though, all the time. There's still a little bit of a jokey side to him, but you don't want to cross him, definitely.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, felt quite sorry for poor Aaron Richards in that scene, but I'm sure you guys have an all right relationship there.
Yeah, no, she's good. She's, I've got Welsh heritage, so we probably are cousins way back when. She's a good girl.
Excellent. You spoke there a little bit about Fish Mooney. One of your big characters that you played off during the season last year was Fish Mooney and Jada Pinkett Smith. What was it like working with her during the season last year?
For a couple of people that are very different, not only physically, obviously, but kind of where we're from. She's from kind of the inner city Baltimore, and I'm from rural Indiana. We really clicked, and that was kind of the big question mark for me going in, was what was this going to be like? I knew I was going to be working with her a lot, and she was by far the most famous person in the cast. I didn't know what she would be like, and I was so pleasantly surprised at how much we clicked from the beginning, and what a great relationship we had. It's interesting because there was that section in the show where she went off to the Dollmaker's Island that we didn't work together. After working together, a lot for the first several months, we had, like 3 months apart, physically, not just in the story. And so when she came back in the finale, it was really kind of art imitating life as we got to kind of really reconnect, and that was a lot of fun to play. And I do miss her this year. She was fun to be with, and I have no doubt we'll work together again at some point. But that was one of the biggest pleasant surprises of the entire first season for me.
Absolutely, you've set me up for one of the biggest fan questions out there. Do you think Fish will return?
I hope so. My hope is that this show has enough of a longevity that you can kind of re-enter some storylines. Certainly, she went into the river. She's a fish. She can swim. I don't know anything, but I sure hope to see her again somewhere down the road.
Excellent. And even as a Colts fan, you don't mind the fact that she's from Baltimore at all?
No. We stole the Colts from Baltimore, so really, if anyone's going to have a problem, it would have been her. But then they stole the Browns from Cleveland, so I think we'll call it even. But I'm impressed that an Irishman knows his NFL or gridiron. Do you call it over there?
Oh yeah. I'm a huge fan, and my co-host John, who unfortunately couldn't join us today, his big team is the Ravens, so he was pushing for me to ask that question.
Excellent. Well, my esteem for you guys has risen immeasurably just from that alone.
Excellent. I suppose I do want to talk about one of the other huge scenes, really, for Butch, which is kind of talking about a bit of his backstory. It's in I would think Butch's biggest episode, which is episode 10, where he essentially severs ties with his childhood friend, Jimmy Saviano. And what ended up, to me, being one of the best scenes in the series, where Butch and Saviano are speaking in the car. The whole scene is played with a bit of background music, which is all in the game. What I wanted to really know is that Butch's attitude to Gotham. Is it a game for him and the people that he deals with around him? Is he just moving pieces like a chessboard for him, or is that his vision of how he deals with the people around him?
Yeah, I think the game for Butch is Survivor. That was one of the things that Dana Cannon told me earlier this year, and I think he's absolutely right. It's that the thing about Butch is he's a survivor, and so it is a game. But for him, maybe more so than playing the chess pieces, is just making sure that nobody knocks him out. And he was raised up in that Gotham underworld, so he's valuable, and that's why Falcone didn't kill him. When he had the chance, he needed him to help Penguin, and that's why he knows the ins and outs. He knows how to survive in this dark town. So that's one of the things I really love about Butch, and one of the things that I'm excited to explore more is how he's able to survive and navigate this crazy town, because everybody knows about Penguin and the Riddler and whatever. And that's great, and it's so much fun to see the genesis of those characters. But I also think it's neat that there's a couple of new characters that we can latch onto. I know that they're new and they're not in the canon, but we can kind of create them and add them, to the mix with these other characters that we've known and loved for so long. Is one of the real, I think, neat parts about the show.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And as you can tell from our conversation on our 50th episode, Butch is certainly a character that stood out for us, partly because of those serious moments and partly because of those big moments in the show. But I have to bring it up. Another big moment for Butch was his dance move in Blind Fortune Teller, where he proves that Zaz has got him. It's kind of spawned its own fan base. We see it very regularly on Gotham TV Podcast on Twitter. We see it used quite a lot to show a Gothamite who's having a really good day, essentially. Can you tell us a bit about dealing with the fans, or I know you did your first big convention for Gotham this year. What's it been like dealing with the fans overall?
Oh, I love it, man. I love it. It's so much fun I've been doing this for a long time. I mean, ever since I graduated university, I had moved to Hollywood and was lucky enough to kind of work straight away. And so I've had a lot of great experiences in my career, but I've never had an experience like this with a show with a fan base that is so committed and really loves the genre and loves the show. And so this has really been a tipping point for me in my career, this role in the show, certainly from a recognition standpoint to the opportunity to do some of these conventions. And it's such a neat thing to be a part of. The fans, by and large, are really intelligent and really smart. Even by the questions you're asking today, is a great example of the thoughtfulness and the intelligence level in which these fans work on, and so it's just I'm honored to be a part of it. And little things like the dancing, I love when those things are kind of pop out of nowhere. I mean, the idea with that was, okay, it was funny because I'm like, well, I should be thinking about what this should be, and suddenly we're shooting the scene. I'm like, oh man, I haven't really given this too much thought, but the discerning fan can tell in that dance move, though, that he is still favoring that knee that Victor shot up. So, I had a couple of fans that were able to, since you were really, you weren't moving that leg too much. I'm like, wow, now that is pretty impressive. So, but
that's some good watching.
My old high school drama and musical teacher, Carol Bellis, rest her soul, taught me the proper use of jazz hands. And little did I know that, 20 years later, it would come in handy in this show about Batman. So thanks, Carol, wherever you are.
So you have to draw on all of your experiences in the show, obviously.
Absolutely. No question about it. Because there's this one time I shot my friend in the face, and I didn't know that would come back to help me later on. Thank you, Carol, wherever you are.
You never know what's going to happen to you. Excellent. So you did mention it there a little bit. By the end of season 1, Butch is working pretty closely with Oswald Cobblepot, having been brainwashed by Victor Zsasz. Where do we pick up with him in season 2? Where do we start?
Well, we start with, when we left Butch, he's a quivering mess on top of that rooftop. And, Penguin is there kind of leering over him in the city, screaming about being the king of Gotham. The survivor that he is, Butch is going to stay with Penguin, and frankly, he has to. That the conditioning is real. So when we open season 2, you'll find Butch right alongside Penguin, and over the course of season 2, that gets tested in ways I wish I could tell you, but then I'd have to shoot you in the face. But it is.
This is the good thing about being in Ireland.
Yeah,
your bullets
it's going to
won't
take me a minute to get there. Although Ireland is the number one, the top of my list of places to go as an aside. So I'm really hoping I get a chance to come out there and do a convention at some point. Give a good excuse to come and drink a Guinness and meet all my Irish friends/fans. So I hope that happens someday. I'm putting it out there in the universe.
We'd be delighted.
But yeah, so I love Robin. He and I are buddies on and off the set. So it's been really great getting to work with him, and I think we play really well off each other. And you have to watch this season for some things that go on with that relationship.
Excellent. There is no doubt we're not going to be watching this season. If it goes on 8 years, we'll be podcasting every week. So thanks for what you do. And as a final question, Drew, myself and John are traveling over to New York Comic Con in October. So I have a question for Butch Gilzean. If Gotham TV Podcast were to show up at Oswald's uninvited, how would Butch deal with us?
Good question. Well, I think Butch would have to shake you down a little bit, check you out, see what's going on. I mean, the last time we had an Irishman in the bar, he ended up getting killed. But I think if you came bearing gifts, particularly some proper Guinness from Dublin, I think you might be able to be okay. I think we might let you in.
Okay, that's on the shopping list.
Good man.
Once again, Mr. Powell, thank you so much for joining us today. Really good to speak to you, and really good luck with season 2. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. We're looking forward to seeing it at New York Comic Con, seeing an episode, and hopefully getting to the panel. Really looking forward to seeing it.
Excellent.
We may cross paths in Gotham when we get there.
That would be great. Thanks for doing the podcast, and thanks for being a Butch supporter. Butch loves you, baby.
Wow, what a great interview. And of course, Butch loves you, baby. That is a fantastic line. Absolutely loved it. Yeah. I so wish I had been there. But, I was there in spirit, as I said before. I really loved the fact that from that interview, he's pleased as punch to be a season 2 regular now, even though he felt like that was the case on season 1. I loved how he talked about the continuity, getting shot in the leg, and then obviously that dance, which has become iconic, and just making sure he led with the other leg to show that he was still injured. That kind of thought process, that detail, and the attention to it is so important. I loved that came across.
Yeah. It was really good, wasn't it? Yeah, I did actually notice, since doing the interview, I noticed that the Gotham TV writers on Twitter, that is their image for their account is Butch Gilzean dancing, so it's definitely a piece they loved as well.
I obviously loved the little piece on the Ravens and the Colts and the Browns and all that kind of history. Fantastic. And, you know, completely agree with him. It's something we said from last season. You know, last season was split up a bit in terms of first it was 13 episodes, then it was 16, and then it became 22. And I liked the way he described it, that, you know, the writers are now know the end game. They know they've got 22 pieces that they can shape in any way they see fit. It gives them that flexibility, that creativity within that. And that will be interesting, I think, for season 2 moving forward. And it was nice, I think, for him to pick that out as well. And as well, of course, like he was in Southland with Ben McKenzie.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. We unfortunately lost a little part of our interview. We had some technical difficulties when trying to set this up, and we had a
technical snafu.
There was definitely a technical snafu, unfortunately. But yeah, he was nice enough to come back and have the opportunity to speak to me. I did lose the original interview, but during that interview, we did speak about him and Ben McKenzie working before on Southland. He was only on 2 episodes, I believe, of the show, as he says, and Ben McKenzie was on a number of them. But the parallel that he was drawing was very much that in that show, Ben McKenzie played a really straight-laced cop, and his character was the kind of was a very similar character to Butch Gilzean in the fact that he's a bit of a mess-up, I suppose, or a screw-up. And the two characters are very kind of similar to what they play in Gotham, you know. So I thought that was quite interesting. I'm sorry to have lost that. But overall, I think the interview went really well, and really enjoyed speaking to Drew Powell. He's definitely one of our favorite characters from season 1 of Gotham.
Definitely.
We really enjoyed him, and I was being absolutely honest when I said he was the first person we looked for to actually speak to us for our 50th episode. I think it's a good celebration for us that we found one of our favorite characters in the show, created for Gotham alone. It's not a character from the comic books, and an actor we didn't know before the show, and has really come to make a stamp on our podcast. Really, we've talked about that character quite a lot.
Yeah, we've loved his journey from being Fisher's right hand man and loyal right hand man. Some of the depths of evil that he's gone to with Barbara and with others. Of course, the nun scene as well, really, really funny, really good, and obviously ending up essentially manipulated by Victor Zsasz, and now within the court of the King of Gotham, Robin Lord Taylor's Penguin.
Yeah.
So, like, an amazing and an incredible journey for the actor and for the character. Loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens to the character in season 2. Definitely.
So we have a little bit of feedback coming in for season 2. And so remember that if you have any thoughts or comments on this episode of Gotham TV Podcast and the Drew Powell interview, if you have any comments, theories, or questions with season 2 of Gotham and the episodes that are about to be launched from the 21st of September, please send them in to us at feedback@gothamtvpodcast.com. You can send them also and tweet at us, where our Twitter handle is @Gotham TV Podcast, and of course we have our Facebook page as well. Again, Gotham TV Podcast. Just send in any thoughts or comments to there.
So our feedback from this week comes from Natalie Welsh. She begins, Captain Essen is still around, at least early on. There's one promo from the premiere where she unsuccessfully tries to defend Gordon from Commissioner Loeb's machinations. It may be that Loeb transfers Essen because of that and swaps in Barnes. Barnes is to be an essentially good guy, so he's probably already sympathetic. Or will come around to Gordon's point of view even faster than Essen did. Oh good, she says. You've seen that one promo where Theo Gallivan addresses Barbara, Jerome and the other Arkham inmates he helped break out. Nice evil version of the "you've all been chosen for your special gifts" team assembly talk. Did you count the inmates? There's 6, including Babs and Jerome. Now if you assume, as seems to be more and more likely, that Jerome is indeed this continuity's future Joker, which he either is or is one handshake away from the true Joker, as in mentor or father, then Gallivan's little team evil starts looking like ... the Royal Flush Gang. We have enough for a king, a queen, that'd be Babs as the lone female, a jack, a 10 and an ace, plus of course Jerome as the wild card, the Joker, if you will. This makes ingenious sense. I'm surprised I didn't find any prior connection between Joker and the Royal Flush Gang in their Wikipedia page. If Team Evil evolves into some version or echo of the Royal Flush Gang, at least the playing card theme part, it forms a perfect and plausible way for Jerome to acquire the Joker moniker. Certainly better than the route through the Red Hood Gang. I can then foresee that there will be at least one shake-up in this gang, as Joker Jerome spins off to do his own thing. Maybe the others break up and become their own thing as well. There's room for at least one or two more of the gang to rise up as something more. Or they'll be like the band that takes a break to pursue individual projects and reunites and reforms every once in a while. So some lineup of the Royal Flush Gang would be around for Batman to fight. Cameron Monaghan is coming so close to classic versions of the Joker that I feel he will be indeed revealed to be this continuity's Joker. Or, as I said, a handshake away from the true Joker. In other words, if he's not the Joker, he'll be a mentor or father figure, as I said. But the timeline is wrong for the true Joker to not be born yet with Bruce as a teenager. I give 90% odds that Jerome is the Joker and a 10% chance of a producer fake out. Maybe it's the Whovian in me, but in that short season 1 finale scene, Corey Michael Smith's Riddler persona is looking more like Matt Smith. Watch it one more time, Derek. I will, definitely. The unrelated Smith boys do share a clannish resemblance, and the Riddler hair looks a lot like Doctor Who number 11. Let's see if this continues in season 2. Here's hoping you and the other UK Gotham fans got it at least as soon after us Yanks as you did last season. From Natalie Welch. Thank you so much for that feedback, Natalie. Really interesting stuff. John?
The Royal Flush Gang, what do you think? I personally think this is a great theory. Mm-hmm. I am really enjoying it. Yeah. I would still probably like to see them play with the Red Hood element as well, because I think that's an interesting concept, this idea that anyone could be. But I think as well that coupled with the Royal Flush Gang is a great theory, a great way forward for introducing the Joker. I mean, it almost makes me feel that Barbara Keane, I know she can't be, but maybe she can be in this continuity of it, is almost Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
like
possibly,
really,
actually, yeah.
Again, some of the short little snippets that we've seen of season 2, she's starting blonde hair, feeling a bit kooky, a bit needy. So you can just never know. But I love the theory.
Yeah, it's a really good theory, isn't it? Thanks so much for that, Natalie. Really interesting idea, actually. The idea of the Royal Flush Gang being involved in Gotham. That's really cool. Definitely not one we would have picked out. A lot of the actual trailers that are coming up for season 2 have been region locked, so they're actually only available to people in the US. So we've been lucky enough to see a few of them that were released internationally, but not all of them. There are a couple that we saw, but as you said, we definitely saw that trailer with our first introduction to Theo Galavan and possibly the Royal Flush Gang. Yeah, really good catch there, Natalie. Hopefully that plays out in the first couple episodes of season 2.
Yeah, definitely. And I like the idea that, because we had discussed this in episode 49 about, what's going to happen to Captain Essen now that Michael Chiklis is coming on board as Captain Nathaniel Barnes.
That's right.
Is he replacing Captain Essen? Is she getting kicked off the force? Is she moving to a different part? Is she the new MCU or something like that? Who knows what's going to happen to Captain Essen? I hope she really does stay. And maybe they're going to be allies. Are they going to be foes? Are they going to be working together with Jim Gordon against him? What is going to happen? What's the developments that are happening here that has seen a new captain come into the GCPD? It'll be really, really interesting, I think.
Oh, definitely. The GCPD is a pretty big place. Maybe they do need 2 captains, possibly. Maybe they'll have 2 offices with 2 different captains. What do you think?
Hopefully, yeah, maybe, absolutely. Colleagues, who knows?
Yeah, but really looking forward to it, and thanks for allaying our fears that we wouldn't see Sarah Essen again, because I do love the character, and I'm really looking forward to seeing Sabrina Guevara back in next season, so that should be good fun.
And of course, we are really looking forward to seeing Butch Gilzean, played by Drew Powell, come back on our screens. It'll be really, really good to see that interaction. Is he that loyal to the Penguin? Is he still loyal to Fish? What is going to happen to this character that survived the chaos and the rise of the Penguin in season 1? Despite, to all intents and purposes, could have been taken out quite easily. He was Fish's right-hand man. He was the loyal assistant to Fish, but he survived that. He's a wily cat. And I can't wait to see what happens to that character.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. And really good to talk to him. One of the other things we do need to talk about, obviously, is that there is no premiere date announced just yet for the UK and Ireland release of Gotham. I know, we do believe it's going to be about 2 weeks, but the really important part is that we are going to New York Comic Con, so regardless of when it gets released in Europe, we will definitely be aligned with the US when we are over in New York. So that's only a couple of weeks away. It's as we record, it's about 18 days from now.
The joys of Hulu.
Yes, when we get over there, we will definitely be able to watch all the episodes you may have missed out. So we'll make sure that we catch up on the podcast as well. While we're over in New York, we're obviously over for New York Comic Con. If you haven't listened to our episodes before, you may not be aware of that. We're going over to for 4 days of probably the now biggest convention in all of America.
The world.
That's right, yeah. It has more people
at it. The universe as we know it.
The comic book universe as we know it, definitely. It has more attendees now than San Diego Comic-Con over the course of its 4 days. There's a huge Gotham panel, which we spoke about on last week's episode, which will have 5 of the members of the cast and John Stevens, one of the executive producers.
That's Sunday, the 11th of October.
That's right. So we're going to be hopefully getting to that panel. It's probably the biggest panel of the day, I think, looking at the schedule. So it's going to be quite difficult to get tickets, but we'll be camping out, hoping to get in for that one. And while we're over at New York Comic Con, hopefully we'll get out the night before the Gotham panel on October 10th, which is the Saturday night. We're hopefully going to be able to get out to go to a pub called Tir na Nog, which is an Irish bar in New York. There's tons of those, I'm sure. This one's at number 315 on West 39th Street. A bar called Tir na Nog. Do you know how that's spelled, John?
Tir na Nog, yeah.
It's spelled T-I fada or
N-A-N-O fada G.
Well done. The land of the young. Perfect place for a superhero convention, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and we're going to try and get there for around 7:30 to 8 because we will be at the Jessica Jones panel up till 7, and then from there we will race off to Tir na Nog and hopefully get there between 7:30 and 8. So come for around then or a bit earlier if you're there. We would love to see people there. If not, we will still have a great time and drink huge amounts of lager and bitter and maybe some Guinness.
Yeah, possibly. We have been told that we're able to go to Oswald's if we bring some Guinness with us to New York, so we might have to bring a couple of cans from Ireland.
That's true.
Yeah. And if you can join us, please do so. That would be great. Otherwise, make sure you do follow us on Twitter, as John said, at Gotham TV Podcast. We'll be keeping you regularly updated with images and tweets about the event of New York Comic Con. It's our biggest event of the year. We went last year and it was absolutely fantastic. I had a brilliant time. I got to meet a bunch of the cast actually last year, but no plans this year for that. But hopefully we'll have an equally fun time. And make sure you follow us on our social media accounts and you'll see loads of those updates as we go.
Yeah, so just remember, we will be broadcasting our Gotham podcast weekly on its release in Ireland and the UK. You can find us on iTunes at gothamtvpodcast.com/iTunes or any other good podcast catcher such as Stitcher, Player FM, Podcast Addict or Beyond Pod. Just search and subscribe to us, Gotham TV Podcast. We're going to leave you now with Devil's Chains by Mississippi McDonald, who hails from London, I hasten to add.
That's right.
Okay, thanks for listening, and thank you again so much, Drew Powell, for the interview and giving your time. It's really generous of you, and we really appreciate the time that you gave us. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Can't say more than that. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you again for episode 1 of Gotham.
Bye.
Mississippi Delta in the dead of night, trying to catch the next train. Guitar player, harmonica Joe, moved from Memphis to Maine. Every dollar you earn is a link in the devil's chain. every dollar you won is a link in the devil's chain. Roscoe Blues. City in the heat of day, 10 to 5 through the night. Subway train clean out of sight, broken down Cadillac assembly line. Every dollar you earn is a link in the devil's chain. Yes, every dollar you earn is a link in the devil's chain, yeah. Keep on walking on by. Don't you turn your head. Say something to the other man. Don't know what you could have said. Every dollar you earn is a link in the devil's chain. Every dollar you earn is a link in the devil's chain. Every dollar you earn is a link in the devil's chain. Yes, every dollar you earn is a link in the devil's chain.